Welcome to Mayhem Pokemon, where questionable Pokemon meet questionable trainers. For this week, Pokemon is back and showcasing two powerful decks in the game. With that being said, let's check out the pod today. First, we have Quinn on Mew VMAX Techno Cannon, a 4-energy deck that seeks to churn through the deck and set up Mew VMAX to clear opposing Pokemon in one shot, and Connor on Lost Box, a Lost Zone deck that utilizes the Comfy engine to unleash powerful attacks from Sableye and Cramorant. And now, with each pilot in their respective corner of the screen, let us begin. And for those of you in the Ames area, stick around to find out how you can get 10% off your next Mayhem Ames purchase. Quinn flips Genesect V and Connor flips Cramorant. Connor draws and plays a Hisui and Heavy Ball, putting it into his prize cards, and Comfy from his prize cards to his hand, puts Comfy to the bench, and plays Scoop Up Net, returning Cramorant to his hand, moving Comfy to the active. He activates Comfy's ability, looking at the top two, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone, plays Cramorant and Radiant Greninja to the bench, and passes. Quinn draws, plays Mew V to the bench, and Quick Ball, discarding Lost Vacuum, fetching up and playing a Genesect V to his bench. He attaches Double Turbo Energy to Mew V, attaches Forest Seal Stone to his bench Genesect V, and activates his active Genesect, drawing 4 cards. He follows it up with Lost City, activates his bench Genesect V, drawing a card, and passes. Connor draws and activates Comfy, looking at the top two, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He puts Zeraora onto his bench and passes. Quinn draws, attaches Double Turbo Energy to his active Genesect V, activates V-Star Alchemy, fetching up and playing Ultra Ball, discarding 2, fetching up and putting another Genesect V to his bench. He activates his active Genesect V, drawing 3, and plays Cram-O-Matic, discarding an item, winning the coin flip, fetching up and evolving Mew VMAX onto his bench. He activates a bench Genesect V, drawing 2, attaches Forest Seal Stone to his other bench Genesect V, and plays Cram-O-Matic, discarding an item, winning the coin flip, fetching up and putting a Mew V onto his bench. He activates his third Genesect V, drawing 4 cards, and plays another Cram-O-Matic, discarding an item, winning the coin flip, and fetching up a Power Tablet into his hand. He plays Path to the Peak, a Power Tablet, retreats Genesect V, swapping in Mew VMAX, and attacks Comfy with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Psychic Leap, knocking out Comfy. Connor puts Zeraora to active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws, and passes. Quinn draws, evolves his benched Mew V into Mew VMAX, and attacks Zeraora with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Max Miracle. Zeraora is knocked out, Connor puts Cramorant to active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws, puts Comfy to the bench, and passes. Quinn draws and plays Quick Ball, discarding a card, fetching up another Genesect V to the bench. He attacks Cramorant with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Max Miracle. Cramorant is knocked out, Connor puts Comfy to active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws and activates Comfy, looking at the top two, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He attaches a Water Energy to Radiant Greninja and passes. Quinn draws and attacks Comfy with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Max Miracle. Comfy is knocked out, Connor puts Radiant Greninja to active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws and plays Colress's Experiment, looking at the top 5, putting 3 into his hand and the other 2 to the Lost Zone. He attaches Capture Energy to Radiant Greninja, fetching up a Comfy onto his bench, retreats Radiant Greninja with Comfy, and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting 1 to his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He plays Scoop Up Net, bouncing Comfy to his hand and putting Radiant Greninja to active, puts Comfy onto his bench, plays Switch Cart, swapping Radiant Greninja and Comfy, and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting 1 to his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He puts Oranguru to his bench and activates it, switching a card in his hand with the top of his deck, attaches Air Balloon to Oranguru, and passes. Quinn draws, attaches Choice Belt to his benched Mew VMAX, and plays an Ultra Ball, discarding 2 and failing to find. He plays Lost City, sending Path to the Peak to the discard, and activates Genesect V, drawing 4 cards. He plays Pal Pad, shuffling Roxanne back into his deck, activates another Genesect V, drawing a card, plays Cram-O-Matic, discarding an item, winning the flip, fetching up a Double Turbo Energy into his hand. With this, Connor sees the writing on the wall, and Quinn wins the game. Connor flips Oranguru, and Quinn flips Mew V. Connor draws and activates Oranguru, switching the top card with a card in his hand. Connor passes. Quinn draws and plays Battle VIP Pass, fetching up 2 Genesect V onto his bench. He equips Double Turbo Energy to Mew V and plays Cram-O-Matic, discarding an item, winning the coin flip, and fetching up a card into his hand. He plays another Battle VIP Pass, fetching up another Genesect V and Mew V onto the bench. He activates Genesect V, drawing 2, retreats Mew V for his other Mew V, and passes. Connor draws and plays Colress's Experiment, looking at the top 5, putting 3 into his hand and the rest to the Lost Zone. He puts Comfy to his bench and plays Switch Cart, swapping Oranguru and Comfy, and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting 1 into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He puts another Comfy to his bench, plays Scoop Up Net, bouncing his active Comfy to his hand and setting his bench Comfy to active, and activates Comfy, looking at the top two, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He puts Comfy and Cramorant onto his bench and activates Oranguru, switching the top card with a card from his hand, attaches Air Balloon to his active Comfy and retreats it, putting Cramorant to active. He puts a Sableye to his bench, equips a Psychic Energy to it, and attacks Mew V with Spit innocently. Mew V takes 11 damage counters and Connor passes. Quinn draws, attaches Double Turbo Energy to his active Mew V, and plays Ultra Ball, discarding 2, fetching up and evolving his bench Mew V to Mew VMAX. He activates Genesect V, drawing 3, plays Cramomatic, discarding an item, winning the coin flip, fetching up and evolving his active Mew V to Mew VMAX. He activates another Genesect V, drawing 2 cards, puts Oricorio to the bench, activates his third Genesect V, drawing 2 cards, and attacks Cramorant with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Max Miracle. Cramorant is knocked out, Connor puts Comfy to active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand, the other into the Lost Zone, and attaches Capture Energy to his benched Comfy, fetching up a Drapion V to his bench. He plays Colress's Experiment, looking at the top 5, putting 3 into his hand, the rest to the Lost Zone, puts Radiant Greninja to his bench, and activates Radiant Greninja, discarding a land and drawing 2 cards. He retreats Comfy, putting Drapion V to active, activates Oranguru, switching the top card with a card from his hand, and attacks Mew VMAX with Dynamic Tail, knocking out Mew VMAX and putting 6 damage counters on Oranguru. Quinn moves his other Mew VMAX to active, Connor takes 3 prize cards, and passes. Quinn draws, puts a Mew VMAX to the bench, plays Power Tablet, and Lost Vacuum, sending an Ultra Ball from his hand to the Lost Zone to send Connor's Air Balloon to the Lost Zone. Quinn follows that up with a Lost City, activates Genesect V, drawing 3 cards, attaches Forest Seal Stone to a bench Genesect V, activates Genesect V, drawing a card, and attacks Drapion V with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Techno Blast. Drapion V is knocked out, Connor puts Comfy to active, Quinn takes 2 prize cards, and passes. Connor draws, activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand, the other to the Lost Zone, retreats Comfy for Comfy, and activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy to draw 2 cards. He activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand, the other to the Lost Zone, plays Escape Rope, with Quinn swapping Mew VMAX for Mew V, and Connor switching Comfy for Comfy, and puts Snorlax to the bench. He plays Bird Keeper, switching Comfy for Snorlax, drawing 3 cards, plays Scoop Up Net, bouncing and replaying Radiant Greninja to the bench, activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy and drawing 2, attaches a Water Energy to Snorlax, and plays Ordinary Rod, shuffling a Water Energy, Psychic Energy, and Cramorant from his graveyard to his deck. He plays Mirage Gate, attaching a Water and Psychic Energy to Snorlax from his deck, attaches a Water Energy to Radiant Greninja, attaches a Choice Belt to Snorlax, activates Oranguru, switching the top card with a card from his hand, and attacks Mew V with Thumping Snore. Mew V is knocked out, Snorlax falls asleep, Quinn puts Mew VMAX to the active, Connor takes 2 prize cards, and at the Pokemon checkup, Snorlax does not wake up. Connor passes. Quinn draws and plays Silene, winning both flips, putting Power Tablet and Mew V from the graveyard to the top of his deck. He plays Path to the Peak, destroying Lost City, plays Lost Vacuum, sending Echoing Horn to the Lost Zone to send Path to the Peaks to the Lost Zone. He plays Power Tablet and activates Genesect V, drawing a card, puts Mew V onto the bench, activates another Genesect V, drawing 2 cards, and plays 2 Cross Switchers, switching Connor's Snorlax for Sableye, and switching his own Mew VMAX for Mew V. He retreats Mew V back into Mew VMAX and attacks Sableye with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Techno Blast. Sableye is knocked out, Connor puts Snorlax to active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws and plays Boss's Orders, switching Mew VMAX for Mew V. With this, Quinn sees the writing on the wall, and Connor wins the game. Quinn flips Mew V and Connor flips Radiant Greninja. Quinn draws, plays a Quick Ball, discarding a card and fetching up a Genesect V to the bench, and plays another Quick Ball, discarding a card and fetching up another Genesect V to the bench. He attaches Forest Seal Stone to Genesect V, activates Genesect V, drawing a card, and uses V-Star Alchemy, fetching up and playing a Battle VIP pass, fetching up another Genesect V and a Mew V to his bench. He activates Genesect V, drawing 2 cards, plays another Battle VIP pass, fetching up another Genesect V to the bench, activates Genesect V, drawing 2 cards, attaches another Forest Seal Stone to a Genesect V, and activates his final Genesect V, drawing a card. He plays Cramomatic, discarding an item and winning the flip, fetching up a Double Turbo Energy to his hand and attaching it to his bench Mew V. Quinn passes. Connor draws and activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy and drawing 2. He follows it up with Colress's Experiment, looking at the top 5, putting 3 into his hand, the rest of the Lost Zone, and Battle VIP Pass, fetching up 2 Comfy to the bench. He plays Escape Rope, with Quinn switching Mew V for Mew V, and Connor switching Radiant Greninja for Comfy. He activates Comfy, looking at the top two, putting one into his hand, the other to the Lost Zone, attaches Capture Energy to his active Comfy, fetching up a Cramorant to his bench, retreats Comfy for Comfy, and activates Comfy. Looking at the top two, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. Connor passes. Quinn draws, evolves his active Mew V into Mew VMAX, and plays Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards and fetching up and evolving his benched Mew V into Mew VMAX. He activates Genesect V, drawing 3 cards, attaches double Turbo Energy to his benched Mew VMAX, activates another Genesect V, drawing a card, plays Pal Pad, shuffling Roxanne back into his deck. He activates another Genesect V, drawing a card, plays Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards and failing to find, activates his final Genesect V, drawing 3 cards, plays Path Through the Peaks, and attacks Comfy with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Max Miracle. Comfy is knocked out, Comfy is put into active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws and activates Comfy, looking at the top two, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone, plays Training Court, destroying Path to the Peak, and activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy and drawing 2. He plays a Quick Ball, discarding a card, fetching up a Drapion V to his bench, and plays Bird Keeper, switching Comfy for Drapion V and drawing 3 cards. He follows it up with Hisuian Heavy Ball, swapping it with one of his prize cards, plays a Comfy to the bench, puts Snorlax to his bench, and attaches a Psychic Energy to it. He attacks Mew VMAX with Dynamic Tail, knocking it out and giving Radiant Greninja 6 damage counters. Quinn moves Mew VMAX to active, Connor takes 3 prize cards, and passes. Quinn draws and plays Quick Ball, discarding a card and fetching up a Mew V to his bench, activates Genesect V, drawing a card, and plays Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards and failing to find. He follows it up with Roxanne, with both players discarding their hand, Quinn drawing 6 and Connor drawing 2. Quinn plays an Ultra Ball, discarding 2 and failing to find, plays a Lost Vacuum, sending an item from his hand to the Lost Zone to send 4 Seal Stone to the Lost Zone. He activates Genesect V, drawing 5 cards, plays Cram-O-Matic, discarding an item and winning the flip, fetching up and playing a Lost City, destroying Training Court. He plays a Power Tablet and attacks Drapion V with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Techno Blast. Drapion V is knocked out, Connor puts Comfy to active, Quinn takes 2 prize cards, and passes. Connor draws and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand, the other to the Lost Zone, attaches Air Balloon to his active Comfy, retreats Comfy into the Comfy, and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He follows it up with Switch Card, switching Comfy for Cramorant and attacks Mew VMAX with Spit Innocently. Mew VMAX gets 11 damage counters and Connor passes. Quinn draws, attaches Choice Belt to Mew V, plays Power Tablet, and activates Genesect V, drawing 2 cards. He attaches a Choice Belt to Genesect V and plays Silene, failing both flips. He plays Switch Card, switching Mew VMAX for Mew V and healing 3 damage counters from Mew VMAX, retreats Mew V back into Mew VMAX, plays another Power Tablet, and attacks Cramorant with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Psychic Leap. Cramorant is knocked out and sent to the Lost Zone, Mew VMAX and all cards attached are shuffled back into the deck, Quinn moves Genesect V to active, Connor moves Comfy to active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws, activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone, retreats Comfy for Comfy, and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He activates Radiant Greninja, discarding a land to draw 2, plays an Escape Rope with Quinn switching Genesect V for Genesect V, and Connor switching Comfy for Radiant Greninja. He plays Mirage Gate, attaching an Electric and Water Energy to Radiant Greninja from his deck, attaches a Water Energy to Radiant Greninja, and attacks Quinn's active Genesect V and Mew V with Moonlight Shuriken, discarding 2 energy. Genesect V and Mew V gain 9 damage counters and Connor passes. Quinn draws, evolves Mew V into Mew VMAX, and plays Cram-O-Matic, discarding an item, winning the flip, fetching up and attaching double Turbo Energy to Mew VMAX. Quinn passes. Connor draws, retreats Radiant Greninja for Cramorant, and attacks Genesect V with Spit Innocently. Genesect V is knocked out, Quinn moves Mew VMAX to active, Connor takes 2 prize cards, and passes. Quinn draws and plays Boss's Orders, switching Cramorant for Snorlax. He attacks Snorlax with Cross Fusion Strike, choosing Techno Blast. Snorlax is knocked out, Connor moves Comfy to active, Quinn takes a prize card, and passes. Connor draws and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone, retreats Comfy for Comfy, and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He plays Scoop Up Net, bouncing his active Comfy to his hand and moving Cramorant to active. He attaches a Choice Belt to Cramorant and attacks Mew VMAX with Spit Innocently. Mew VMAX gains 14 damage counters and Connor passes. Quinn draws, plays Mew V to his bench, and plays Judge, with both players shuffling their hands into their decks and drawing 4. He retreats Mew VMAX for Mew V and passes. Connor draws, activates Radiant Greninja, discarding an energy and drawing 2, plays Scoop Up Net, bouncing Cramorant to his hand and moving Comfy to active, and activates Comfy, looking at the top 2, putting one into his hand and the other to the Lost Zone. He puts Sableye onto the bench and plays Ordinary Rod, shuffling a Psychic and Water Energy into his deck, and follows it up with Mirage Gate, attaching a Psychic Energy to Sableye from his deck. He retreats comfy for Sableye and attacks Quinn's benched Mew VMAX with Lost Mine, knocking it out. With this, Quinn sees the writing on the wall, and Connor wins the match. For those of you in the Ames area who stuck around, come to Mayhem Comics in Ames this week and ask for the YouTube discount. You'll be asked the question, who won? Answer correctly and get 10% off your purchase. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to catch future videos, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.